listen, I get it. It feels like you don't even have enough time to post on Instagram, let alone try and market your business by writing an email or putting out a blog post or recording a YouTube video, recording a podcast episode. The content creation list seems to go on and on and on and never end. But I'm here to be the one to tell you that you can actually achieve all of this. You can post more content, and it doesn't have to take all of your time. It can take a lot less time if you work a bit smarter and not harder. And I want to talk to you about 2 different content marketing practices that are really going to help you navigate this content creation space and creating on multiple platforms or creating more content in general. And we're going to do this by avoiding burnout and also not putting all your marketing eggs in one basket. And those 2 practices are content distribution and content repurposing. And while these are actually 2 different marketing practices that kind of live in the same marketing family, and sometimes they're used interchangeably when people talk about them, I want to talk to you about these 2 different practices and how to start to weave them into your overall content creation and marketing strategy. First, let's dive into content distribution. And a quick and simple definition to help you understand this method is you're taking one piece of content and distributing it across multiple platforms. You're taking that piece of content and posting it multiple times in multiple different places. This is actually the first step towards making your content work harder for you and actually have it work longer for you, in the sense that your content piece can have a longer shelf life. So this practice was actually a little bit more widely accepted when social media marketing first came around back in like the early 2010s. And you might be familiar with this, where let's say you'd create a blog post and you copy and paste that link and post it literally everywhere. You post it on Facebook, you would copy that link and put it in your email. Or maybe you're sharing the link to your latest podcast episode directly onto Twitter when it was Twitter. Or maybe you would take the same image and the same caption and post it on both Instagram and your Facebook business page. Now, content distribution looks a bit different because a lot of people kind of got sick of just seeing links in feeds and having to redirect elsewhere. And there are even some platforms that discourage you from doing so, in the sense that they just don't get a lot of engagement anymore. So what this looks like nowadays in 2024, maybe you record a short form video in TikTok, and before you post it, you download it. And you take that exact same video and you're putting it out on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Or maybe you wrote a post for Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and you take that exact same copy, that exact same post, and you're putting it out on LinkedIn or Threads. So this type of content distribution works really well with sister platforms. And what I mean by sister platforms are platforms that have very similar posting formats, meaning, you can take a short form video on TikTok and post it as a short form video on Instagram Reels. Or you can take a Twitter post and put it out on Threads. And yes, these platforms do have different types of posts and different types of formats that you can actually create in. But TikTok is known for videos most of the time, and Twitter is known for text or word-based posts most of the time. You get the gist of it. So to make content distribution work really well and efficiently for you, there are some different tools that you can use to really maximize, again, that piece of content without you spending a ton of extra time. Of course, you can totally record a TikTok video, download it, and post it manually on other platforms. But instead, I want to encourage you to lean into one of 2 types of tools. The first one being an automation tool, meaning when you post that TikTok video, it is taken off the platform and redistributed elsewhere. There are tools like repurpose.io, Make, or Zapier, and these tools will automatically take that piece of content and post it for you elsewhere. Now, this is not my preferred method. I know plenty of people that use these type of software, but what I've seen happen a lot of the times is it will be very, very glitchy. Sometimes it may violate terms and conditions of certain platforms and could result in your account getting shut down. So my preferred method is to actually use a scheduling tool. Something like Later, Planoly, Buffer. There are so many different ones out there, but what it allows you to do is upload one piece of content, so that TikTok video that you created, and from there you can drag and drop it onto a content calendar, tell that platform which platforms to schedule it out on, and it will go out on your behalf. These tools tend to be a bit safer and a little less glitchy to use because they partner up with a lot of these social media platforms and they really abide by their terms and conditions and community guidelines. Quick pros and cons of adding content distribution into your marketing strategy as a whole is that this is typically the easiest approach to take, and it really doesn't require an extra skill set that you have to develop. You can simply take an existing piece of content that you've created and enhance its reach by putting it in other places. Yes, you might have to understand some different nuances that while that TikTok video that you posted on TikTok, you can take that same video and post it on Instagram Reels, the caption requirements are a little bit different, or there's different posting types where you can add location, add a first comment, things like that. With content distribution, you can also take that video that you created once, maybe a couple months ago, and redistribute it again and again and again, either on the same platform or you can repost it on a different platform and continue to use that piece over and over again. And of course, it helps you start to build your audience outside of one platform, so you're not putting all of your marketing eggs in just one basket. So a quick con that I want to warn you about is that this is sometimes frowned upon because when you take a video from one platform and put it on another, or you take a piece that you've created on one platform and distribute it on another, it doesn't always take into account the nuances and the culture of that platform, so it might seem a bit off. For example, when you create a video in TikTok and use a TikTok text, and now you see that same video over on Instagram Reels where the text that people put on their videos is completely different, it might be jarring to some viewers. Or you could run into hiccups with downloading and the sound might be off, or you can't download it with a copywritten audio, or sometimes it might have a watermark. These are just a few of the issues that might come up if you are distributing that content that you may have already originally created on a different platform. So now, moving into my favorite, content repurposing. And a quick definition, or actually the way that I personally like to define it, is that you're taking a piece of content that you've created and you're manipulating it to fit another platform based on format, nuances, culture, and other things. And honestly, this is the foundation of my entire content creation workflow and how I can create almost 50 pieces of content each and every week. And I'm actually posting across most major social media and marketing platforms. Now, the thing that you have to think about is that content repurposing does take a little bit more time than content distribution and does require another skill set. But it does not take nearly as much time as creating content from scratch every single day for every single platform. So a quick example is I take my YouTube video and I repurpose it for so many other platforms. I like to strip the audio and put it out as a podcast. I use the entire transcript to help me formulate email newsletters, captions, blog posts, show notes. And it serves as the foundation for all the posts that I put out on Instagram, TikTok, Shorts, and Threads, like the list can go on and on, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Last week, I actually talked about my 5x1 method for taking one content idea and creating enough TikTok posts to last you all week. You can check out this video here, especially if you're just getting started with your content repurposing process. So there are some tools that I personally like to lean into when it comes to content repurposing to make the process even easier. And for me, I like to lean into using AI tools to help me really break down the transcript for my YouTube video. And it kind of not only helps me with brainstorming, but it really starts to help me develop content for other platforms. And I do have the privilege of outsourcing certain aspects. I have a content manager that helps me really repurpose and edit my whole entire YouTube video. With content distribution, you are actually able to do that process manually if you needed to. Software and tools weren't needed. Now with content repurposing, it's very hard to avoid using tools. A scheduling tool is almost necessary because as you grow your content repurposing workflow, you're going to be producing more content. And if you tried to post all of that manually, you would be spending all day posting on social media. And you'll need some kind of content management tool. You can use something like Notion, ClickUp, Asana. There are so many tools out there. I personally like to use Airtable or Xtiles, but you need to be able to see all of that content, where it's at in your workflow, especially if you're producing a lot of it. Now, some quick pros and cons here. The biggest pro is that this is a more widely accepted practice because what you're doing is you're taking that one piece of content and instead of just posting it everywhere, you're actually changing it and adapting it to fit the multiple different platforms that you're posting on. So I wouldn't take a 15-minute long YouTube video and put it out on Instagram. I don't even know if that's possible anymore since they got rid of IGTV. But instead, what I can do is take clips 30 to 60 seconds from that video and use those as Instagram Reels. And of course, I can't take a YouTube video and put it out as a newsletter. Of course, I can link to it, but I can take what I said in that YouTube video and write out a newsletter, kind of informing and educating my email subscribers. Then if they wanted to learn more, I could put the link at the bottom. Now, and because you are adapting that piece of content to fit that platform, you might also notice a bit higher of engagement than you would with content distribution alone. Because you are taking that piece of content and making sure it fits the format, the nuances, the culture of that specific platform. And one last pro here, and this is arguably my favorite one, is that Your audience will consume content in different ways. A mom on the go might have time to listen to a podcast when she's picking up her kids, whereas that newer entrepreneur might have your YouTube video up in the background as they're working. So you can now meet your audience in the way that they like to consume content. You can deliver your message in multiple different ways, whether it be video, audio, written, or a combination of the three. And then the biggest con here is that it does take a little bit more time and it does require a skill set. And it might feel a little overwhelming at first, especially if you're the one producing all the content. So sometimes you have to take time, money, or energy to either learn new skills so that you can repurpose efficiently. You have to invest money, maybe into some tools, software, or outsourcing. So just know that there is a higher barrier to entry when it comes to content repurposing. So at first, just start small. Maybe right now you're producing a ton of content on Instagram. How can you adapt that content to maybe fit the culture of TikTok? And quickly, I want to walk you through how to know which strategy is right for you. And truthfully, it's going to depend. The end goal is to do a little bit of both. In a dream world, you can achieve crazy results by implementing both of these strategies. But you really are going to have to work your way up to using both of these practices regularly when it comes to content marketing. And that's going to take time and resources, energy, and sometimes money, as I've alluded to before. So if you are just getting started with either of these practices, I recommend that you start with distribution. Because again, the thing is, you can do all of this manually in the beginning. If you're already creating Instagram Reels, post them on TikTok, post them on YouTube Shorts. Or maybe you're writing a newsletter every week. Can you take that exact same copy and put it out as a post on LinkedIn? And then eventually you can invest some money into an automation tool or a scheduling tool or other things that can help you kind of speed up that process and continue to distribute it elsewhere. Now, if you already feel comfortable with that, if that's something that you're already doing, I want you to start to work your way into repurposing your content because it is going to take more time and you are going to have to learn about new platforms and learn new things. But it can have the biggest payoff for your small business because, again, you are showing up in multiple places. You are giving your audiences multiple ways to consume your content, and you can continue to spread your message, sell your services, your products, or your offers in multiple different ways. No matter which approach you choose, just know that you are on your way to making more of an impact with your content marketing. You truly can't go wrong with either or both of these practices. But if you're wanting to dive deeper and learn more about repurposing your content, I highly recommend you grab the Content Repurposing Guide, where I walk you through all of my core strategies for repurposing content, and you get a PDF of 100 different repurposing ideas. You guys can grab it at the link in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week, and don't forget to hit subscribe.